Well, hello, my friends. We got a new build for you today. Um, the Michigan Central Station from St. Thomas, Ontario. Uh, I built this station a few times, and I'm taking the problems that I had before and fixing them before it happens on this one. Get that? There's always something that you do in a kit, and you're just like, next time, not gonna do that. Well, the time after that, I did it again and again. But this time, I'm not gonna do it because I remembered. uh, so, um, I just want to thank my newest patron, Gare DeGill. Um, Probably butchered your names. I'm sorry. Uh, but he he's my latest patron of the arts, contributing $10 a month, and that's pretty cool. Um, yeah, $10 goes a long way in uh, being able to buy something every month to add to the supplies and such. So I don't want to take too much time in the intro. So here it is, CASO Station. I don't know which one it is. Well, to start off this kit, I had to go through all the parts and find out what I had. And while I was doing that, I sprayed a few with my handy dandy rattle can. What color was that again? I always have a problem with that now. Red oxide. Man, that's gonna be the death of me. But I sprayed the pieces that I could with red oxide and noticed that I was missing a few parts. And after going through that little problem with the client, I figured I'd cut the parts in half. So I went over to my friend Sparky's house, who said, "Hey Ron, just so happens I have a problem with my new bandsaw that I bought my wife, 'cause she's real handy, and I think Sparky's scared to use it." Uh, so I went over and made sure that the blade was on nice and true, and stayed on and safe, and cut my parts off just to test it out. However, while at Sparky's, I noticed that I was missing some parts. So I had to get on the Google and message my friend Nick over at ITLA Scale Models to help me out to cut some custom parts. Now, it didn't come cheap. You gotta design the parts and cut them on the laser and buy the wood and all that stuff. So it's a little bit of a process, and I don't think it's the kind of thing that Nick wants to do all the time. So I thanked him very much for doing it, because it shows that he was a true friend. So I got an order of parts off to Nick and waited for them to come in. Once they come in, I noticed the differences between the old lasers and the new laser right away. There's nice crisp cuts on Nick's new laser. Really makes it look like a really nice investment that he made. Clearly, the next step was to get some paint on this stuff, because it was looking really nice and woody. Whatever. I was trying to be funny, but it really didn't come out as funny. No, I used my rattle can spray paint to get an initial coat of paint on each of the parts. And I wanted to get that done right away so that I could let it dry overnight, cure up really nicely. If you let the paint dry overnight, giving it a lot of time to cure up all the way through, your paint tends not to mix with the upper layers, giving you a nice barrier between layers. Lets you add different colors with a real good contrast. Okay, so obviously my can here isn't playing nicely. Got no spray lid on it. Obviously dried up on me and didn't work in between uses. And changing out from one to another doesn't always work too well. Obviously now this thing's like a paint bazooka, just like throws out way too much paint. So I'm just gonna spray on this thick green paint, and I'm gonna wipe some off later. I definitely need to wipe some off, but that's gonna add to the look of the weathering. I'm gonna let it push into the wood a little bit, and as I wipe it off, it'll still be green, but it'll look aged. I promise. So now it's definitely time to get some gloves on so that I can, muck around with this paint and not get it on all the other parts and get it soaked into my skin. It's not the best moisturizer, I promise. So we finish up painting or taking off the paint of our doors and let that take that off to the side and let it cure, and move on to this decorative trim along the soffit and not the fascia, but underneath there where the corbels go. We're gonna paint that a nice off-white. I'm gonna paint it with my brush. Some of the green seeps through on this because it was just too much paint on the bottom, and capillary action drew up the paint through the bottom. So it's a good idea sometimes to get a new workspace or put down a piece of paper underneath your work, because I'm gonna have to let this dry overnight and put a second coat on tomorrow to get rid of that green. We're gonna do a bit of an experiment today. I've always I don't know how this came about, but one day I noticed that glycerin took water tension off of some items and made paint work in a way that sometimes we prefer. Sometimes we don't prefer it, but I think we often do prefer it. So I'm gonna put some water in both of these jars. The only thing we're gonna change between this jar and this jar is the color of the paint. I'm gonna do a white mortar and a gray mortar, or maybe I should just do a light gray mortar and a dark gray mortar. I think I'm gonna do that. Okay, each bottle has about the same amount of tap water. We're gonna put, like I said, gray paint in one. Mortar. What we need to do is two things. Number one is we don't want to paint the brick that is on that we want to keep red. So that means that we have to have less paint in our mortar wash and more water. It's got to be a loose product, and then we're gonna add in addition either glycerin or dish soap. There you are, I see you. My dish soap is just over there. To make it loose and it fall in. So let's just get to it, because this is easier than we might think. So let's start with my light gray. Okay, might not be enough, but might be too much, never know. So I'm gonna put the same amount of paint, hopefully, in this one. Okay, so now, and I'm gonna put this in the gray bottle, because even though it doesn't look like it's got a blue tinge to it, so I don't want to. So I'm only gonna put in probably, I'd say 6 drops there, maybe 5-6 drops, and then I'm gonna use my glycerin in this one, the light gray, and we're gonna put about the same. Okay. I'm gonna see how this works out. Like I said, one day I just noticed that glycerin broke the surface tension of water. I think that's what happened. I don't know. It was a long time ago, but I've been theorizing about glycerin for a few years now. And coming back, we might as well just, get to the bottom of some of these thoughts that I've had over the years. Okay, so there's that. So I think one of the major differences between dish soap and glycerin would be immediately, I don't think we'd get as much, like when you're using soap, it foams up right away, as you probably realize. So I think that is one flaw of using dish soap. So if glycerin, see, as you can see, this is full. We had the same amount of water in each, same amount of everything, and you can see the foam has filled the jar up. And even though we've had a few seconds to let this settle, you can see that there is much less foam. The foam itself is very it almost looks like it's a bigger bubble, actually. But with some swirling around of the water, it's taken away all of the foam. So I guess that means that we can get to using our glycerin infused mortar wash on our first pieces. So let's start with this. See, as you can see, we still all foamed up there. And when you're painting, if you're painting with the foam, the bubbles will create a I gotta get a cloth here. I want to thank our newest patron, scared to gill. It's kind enough to chip in $10 a month, or €9. I don't know what that is. Oh, $10, I think. Okay, so let's start this off. So as you can see, the wash just drops right into the etched brick lines, and it's allowing the brick to stay red, you know, by jumping into those lines and moving off to the side. Now, you might be asking yourself, why am I not doing the mortars as I have it on the building? Like, why don't I just glue these pilasters onto our structure and then put the mortar on? So that'd be a question that, not that I'd ask, but you know, after doing this a few times, something showed up in the process that I noticed, and I want to share that with you. If we had this pilaster glued to the structure, what would happen would be that in the corners all the way around would also get a white stain to it, and that, like, we just want our white mortar to go into the brick lines. That's all we want it to do. We don't want to add any white color to the structure. We're just trying to add white between the bricks itself. And when we have the pilasters glued to the building, and it adds that white around the edge of the transition between the base layer and the pilaster layer, we get an extra white line. And although I went around with a brush and kind of fixed that behind the scenes, doing this way will remove that problem altogether. So that one's a bit short. The manufacturer that I got to do this had to redo the plans, so we're going to run into a few problems with these, I'm sure, and I think the designer was sure too that there would be some discrepancies. But you know, when you're using laser cut pieces of wood, the hobby has come from a place where we used to just cut the brick etched lines with a knife, let alone a laser. So I'm sure we can make it past any problems with some well thought out solutions. Okay, so there's piece number one. We're going to methodically get through this, and you don't want to watch that, so I'm going to move on from here. Turn off the camera. Saws. So after painting 4 pilaster sets, or 2 and 2, we're going to move to our other solution with this dish soap. As you can see, the foam is still up on the top, however the bubbles have gotten a lot bigger. And I think if I just swirl this around gently, it's not doing anything. Oh well. Let's take our brush, clean it off. Blowing it out is the best way to do it. So just like the other brush, we're going to run it along. It's going into the grooves just nicely. Actually, the capillary action's pulling down the pilasters here a little bit. I don't think I noticed that on the glycerin. So even though I want glycerin to win, the soap does work a little bit better with the capillary action, drawing that paint through the groove, the etched parts of the wood. Just when I turned off the camera, I noticed I came back to the table and I noticed that while the capillary action is better on with the dish soap, the glycerin side didn't really go onto the bricks, but also it didn't really paint the top of the bricks or leave a satisfying amount of mortar in between the bricks. So obviously I would need to do a second or third coat. However, it's not, like, as you can see here, the paint is really painting the top of the brick, and that's something we don't want. You know, so it's looking like the glycerin's the better route, even though the capillary action looked like it was better at first here. So I'm gonna start moving back to my glycerin, but as I go down, I'm gonna pour my dish soap into this bottle just to be able to get rid of the paint, waste not, want not. But also to just further see how things go. But I'm moving back to the glycerin because of the reasons I just stated. I don't mind doing a second or third coat. I don't mind at all. However, I do want the top of my bricks to look clean and red. And as I'm going along here, I'm washing off the top of the brick. You know, trying to fix that first pilaster up. Okay, so we'll be right back. Okay. So after going over photos, I knew that these initial kits had a flaw in them. Okay. Start this over. So doing this first kit, I noticed during the build process that there was a flaw in the design, which was something that I often would come around. It would pop up during working with this manufacturer for so long. Okay, so the problem is everything's right on this building except for this window and this door are switched around, and there's a door right here. So I'm going to attempt to make a door here. Let me look at my photos over there. Yeah, there's going to be nothing easy about it. So I have to make a door here and a window here. Maybe I'll cut this along the pilaster. Let's get this camera down here for a second so you can see what I'm talking about. So, as you know, we've got pilasters. Let me get a piece. Okay. So, these flat parts right here are for pilasters. Right. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut all the way down the middle of this pilaster and all the way down the middle of this one, and then switch them. Sound like a good idea? I think so. I hope I got all that on camera. So I'm just gonna let the rest of this video run out while I change these two sections on the wall. You know, let's see how I do it. I come up with various different ways to square up the wood while I'm cutting. Also, while I'm gluing the wood back in, I also square it up in a certain way, and maybe this is an interesting part of the build. If it's not, please put it in the description. However, let's close out this video with how I fixed the design mistakes that came out in the original kit design. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. So there you have it. We've got video 1 in the can. Putting a little bit of mortar lines and testing things out to make sure that they're working properly. I'm gonna muck around with this over the next few days and get the mortar all done perfectly, and then move on to the next steps of gluing the brick on the brick, laminated brick. I don't know what the heck call everything. All these architectural names, I gotta remember them again. Jeez. But I would like to thank Garrett DeGill for becoming a patron. We got a patron last month, and we got a patron this month. Let's keep the ball rolling, guys. That's awesome. It's really gratifying to know that I'm not just begging. There's a real reason for me to be asking for this money. It helps me to get supplies and to be able to come up with the best ideas, and that using the best products, being able to explore products, buy products that I think will work, and test them out and stuff like that. I also want to get into painting rolling stock in my engines and stuff like that. I can't see that being too I don't want to belittle the practice, but I think that the skills that I've gained over the years building structures will relate nicely to rolling stock and locomotives. How's that? Well, it wasn't too insulting, was it? Not at all. Hopefully. Never know these days. Just never know. But thank you to Gare and Kevin for becoming patrons. Hopefully we'll get some more in the future, because that will really help out with the inspiration. The second I buy something new, I want to get it on video. So that's an incentive in and of itself. They get that package at the door, and you're like, oh God, I want to open it up, and you start using new toys. Toys are so needed, though. I need to get one of those little table saws again. It seems every time I buy one or get one, I have to sell it. So I need to get another one. It'll be number 3. Anyways, talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching the video. Like and subscribe. Press that like button. Do it, boys. Do it, please. If you're still here, press the like button and subscribe. Most of you are not still here. Anyways, thank you for watching the video, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace.